Today's interview is so special to me. I get to be mentored by this beautiful woman. I remember the first time I heard her speak, I said to myself, whatever she has on her life, I want it. Bukola Adisa is a senior risk controls expert who has held leadership roles in global organizations such as HSBC, RBS, Morgan and Deloitte. Currently, she's a managing director at Barclays within the Chief Controls Office. In addition to her day job, Bukola is the founder CEO of Career Masterclass, which is a not-for-profit social enterprise dedicated to enabling the progression of Black and minority ethnic professionals in the workplace through webinars, live events, and an annual stretch conference. Her accolades are many. For example, in 2018, she was named on the Power List, which celebrates the achievements of senior professionals from an African Caribbean background. She was also named as one of the Financial Times Heroes. She was also a finalist for the BBBA Award, which is the Black British Business Awards. She was listed on the Financial Times list of top 100 ethnic minorities in the United Kingdom. She is a powerhouse, and the world hasn't even seen the start of her yet. If you're not inspired by this, I don't really know what will. Welcome to viSHEbility, a show that showcases the amazing achievements of Black women in the UK. And I'm your host, Mary Mashapai Adeyemi. And today, in fact, I have someone I actually call a unicorn because there's not many of her type of caliber. Bukola Adisa is here with us today, and I'm excited. And you're looking at me like, okay. But I'm excited because I love her, and she's just such an inspiring personality and presence in my life and in my career. But welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
me. Thank you.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. I want to get into this. I feel like we have a lot to unpack. So when I say like I've told you, I said you're a unicorn, not many, and that's because you are a Black woman, double minority, who is a managing director at one of the largest financial services company in the UK. That's a lot.
When you put it like that,
it's a lot because they're not many. They're just not many. Where you say like actually at that level of seniority, they're just not that many. So congratulations for all your success.
Thank you.
I really want to unpack that, but let's start from the top.
Okay.
Who is Bukola? Can you summarize, like, kind of walk us through like I don't know, what are the things that make you before we start getting into how you then got here?
Right, it's a
broad question.
That's a broad question. And I don't think I've ever thought about it that way. Like, what are the things that make me me? Because, the other day I was saying to my husband, because I met someone and she was like, oh, you're the Bukola. And I was like,
the Bukola.
Okay, I'm Bukola.
Yeah.
And then I got home and I was saying to my husband,
what does that mean?
What does that mean? Like, for me, I still see myself as myself. And when people say, oh, you're the Bukola, you've inspired me, you're this, you're that, I am like, okay, you're talking about someone else. Because for me, I just do what comes to me naturally to do, because it's the right thing to do. So what makes me me? I have a sense of justice. And I am a very passionate person. Yeah. But I'm very selectively passionate because I can be also, very lazy. If I
don't believe that, but okay.
No, but it's true. But if I care about something, I go after it with all of the force in my body. Yeah. But if I don't really care, then I'm not really motivated. So I am very loyal as well. In fact, I am loyal to a fault. Yeah. If I love someone or if I believe in you, I really don't care what other people say about you. And I have this blind spot when it comes to that particular person.
And are those traits that you had even as a child?
Yes.
So thinking through your childhood, or are there specific things from your mom or from your dad that kind of informed
So when I was growing up, I'm the second of 5 children, but I'm the first daughter. And obviously in Nigeria, African culture, the first daughter is very, very important. So my older brother, in fact, till today says, people think, you're my older sister because I boss him around. I've always bossed him around. We'll always boss him around. There's 14 months between us. So it's not like it's like you know, I said to him, it's not like you're really my
That-
older brother.
yeah.
We're like twins. But, you know, he says, no, 14 months is a big deal. Well, but when I was growing up, everyone called me Margaret Thatcher at home.
Okay.
Because I would just say to people,
Strict.
yeah, line up.
Say it as
this,
it is.
do that. It's Saturday morning. We
Okay.
have to clean the house. You have to, you know, we have to get things
Yeah.
ready. And also, you know, people said I was very, very aggressive.
Okay.
But I guess, you know, with the passage of time and as you mature, your traits never really leave you. You just learn how to sort of rough, you know, the round edges, you smooth them, you know, and the rough edges, you smooth them rather.
Yeah.
So I think if I look back at myself now and my makeup, I've always been like this.
Yeah.
To an extent, I've always been very loyal. I believe in the family unit. I'm very, very close to my 4 siblings. I speak to them every day, either on WhatsApp, and we're everywhere. Like I'm here, my sister is in Jersey, in Channel Islands. Another sister is in Nigeria, a brother in America, a brother in Australia. Yeah. So what you're guaranteed is that any point in time, one of us is awake because we're in like different time zones. Yeah. And we all talk every day, like we're in a WhatsApp group. I speak to my parents every day, specifically my mom. And a lot of things I've learned from my mom.
Them. Okay.
My mom specifically.
Really?
My mom is a typical tiger mom. My mom, you know, and I say to people, my mom calls all 5 of us every day.
Wow.
So she's one of those mother hen, really into our children. She had 5 of us in 7 years. We're like, you know, back to back every year. Yeah. And she sacrificed a lot. Yeah. And, you know, today I said to my husband, I sacrificed a lot for my children, but I don't even think my children know I sacrificed a lot for them. But my mom sacrificed for us, and she made sure we knew that she was aware. We were very much aware that she was making sacrifices. Yeah. And my mom was very, you know, she is very tenacious. Yeah. My mom didn't go to university. Okay. She had to drop out of school because her parents couldn't afford to send her to school. Right. So she dropped out to start working so she could look after her younger siblings. But because of that, my mom was determined that all of her children would get an education the best. So even like when you know, growing up, I lived in Ibadan, grew up in Ibadan. Right. ISI, International School Ibadan, was the best of the best then. Yeah. And my mom ensured that we all got in. We all went to ISI. You know, it was a very expensive school at the time. And like I said, you know, we are like back to back to back. So every year, you know, it was like a conveyor belt. We're all like getting into the school. Yeah. It was tough, you know, but my mom impressed on us, you know, the value of hard work. Yeah. Of discipline, of just when you want something, you go for it. Yeah. My dad, on the other hand, grew up in a wealthy family. So because of that, it's just like, yeah, you always have things. But my dad impressed on us confidence. Right. Because we are actually from Ibadan. Right. My dad has this typical sort of Yoruba man pride that, you know, you are royalty. You are, you know, don't ever let anyone, you know, look down on you. So we've all grown up. And people say to me at work, like, you just have this air of, you know, confidence around you and self-assurance. And the other day I was sort of unpacking with my husband. My husband was like, it's the way you grew up. You never saw yourself as less than anyone. Yeah, and I don't see myself as less than anyone. And that gives you a certain, you know, confidence. I don't see impossibilities. Yeah. I don't think there's a certain place I cannot get to, or there's some certain things my children cannot do. So that sort of frees your mind and it helps you dream big. So I think the combination of both my parents and the way I grew up, and I grew up in a sense of community. I just didn't grow up with my siblings. I grew up with cousins, aunties. Our house was an open door. All of those things just sort of build your resilience, build your sense of community, and it starts to instill in you at a very young age the values that help me today. Yeah, yeah.
And so you did university in Nigeria.
Yes, University of Lagos.
And I love like what you just said about the fact that you never saw yourself as in any way like different, like saying like you can't, there was nothing that said you couldn't achieve X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But then coming into the UK, did that change for you?
So coming into the UK, I came with this mentality of, you know, the world is my oyster. Yeah. I deserve to be here. In fact, I'm an asset to this country. I've had a very expensive education. You know, I studied law in University of Lagos. I haven't come from ISI. So all of those things sort of framed my mindset. And I came into the UK, and the one thing my dad said to me, you know, when I was coming to the UK, because I didn't go to law, I chose not to go to law school, was the day you start I hear you're working in McDonald's or you're cleaning the underground, you're coming back home to go to law school. Yeah. So I already had a frame in my mind of, you know, there's certain jobs I cannot do. Yeah. And so, but obviously you get into the UK, people tell you, oh, you know, care, McDonald's. I'm like, my father is going to kill me. It's not like I don't want to do care. Well, I don't want to do care because I'm lazy. But, you know, I said, you know, I am not, you know, I can't do it because my father is going to send me back home.
Get you back home.
I've had an expensive education, not just the legal education. While I was in university, I also started studying for a professional qualification, a UK professional qualification, ICSA, being a charter secretary. So that was really expensive for my parents to fund at the time. So I was hell-bent, you know, my heart was set on getting a job as a company secretary. Obviously, I came in here and you get into this catch-22. We can't hire you without experience. You can't get experience without getting hired. So, you know, but I'm a person of faith, right? And I know that, you know, not only did I come here to join a man, which I did, but also know that
God came for love.
I came for love, but you know, I also know that God wants me to be here. And I also said I wasn't going to, you know, fake my CV or, you know, pay someone to, you know, fake my CV. No, if it would happen, it would have to happen by God's grace.
So you came here, personal reasons, no job on the horizon. So you had to basically start integrating.
I think I came with like £75.
Wow.
You know, I was like breaking it at Heathrow. Like if they had asked me, young lady, show us how you're going to sustain yourself, I would have had to bring out my Bible. So I just came, you know, because, you know, there was a man on the other end, you know, waiting for me, and we're going to get married. And but, you know, the financial realities were very, you know, tough.
So how long did it then take you from that point to secure your first role?
So I have the date, right? I finished I dropped my thesis, we call it Project Nigeria, but thesis, on the 7th of September 2006. By the 9th of September 2006, I was here because of a man.
Wow.
As I said. And so between the 9th of September 2006 and the 27th of September 2006, when I started my first job, there was an interim role.
Okay.
So I was living with my cousin, and
that was fairly quick though.
Yeah, but it was fairly quick. But to me, then it felt like, you know, when you're counting every day, because my dad kept calling, I'm going to get a form to law school.
And he didn't care that, well, you're going to get married. I mean, that's what's important for Nigerian parents, that you're getting married.
Well, you know, to my mom, yes. But to my dad, you know, I was 23. You know, I wasn't like 30. I was 23. What was I even thinking? You know, marriage. So my father was like, "You'll come back." So I got like my first week. I got a role. And it was customer service role. And it was like, you know, you work in Heathrow. And I thought, okay, it's not bad. It was like 12-hour shifts on your feet. So I did it for one day. The next day I was on my way there, and I just, you know, I was depressed.
Had a wake-up call.
So I rang my husband to be there, and I said, I can't do
this anymore.
He said, you know, but it's a job. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm desperate for money, but I'm not this desperate. I'm not going to do this. So like, don't do it. It's fine. Don't go. So I canned it. I didn't go. But the very next day, then I got a call. And, you know, again, this is where my faith comes in, because remember I'd said I wasn't going to fake my CV. I wasn't going to lie that I had all this experience when I didn't have it. And so this guy rang me. I'd applied for a job, and he said, do you know how to use this software? I said, I don't, but when I start, I would know how to use the software. And he said, okay, it's a 2 weeks contract. A company is selling off another company, so they need someone to help with corporate records, in a typical company secretary assistant job. And how much do you want to earn? And so I was like, okay, how much do I want to earn? So I just, you know, winged it. I'm like, okay, I want to earn £150 a day. It was like, just that? I said, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. And that's how I got the job. No interview, no, you know.
Sounds like you lowballed yourself.
Well, eventually I learned that I lowballed myself. But this is me. I'd never, you know, I was coming from Nigeria. £150 a day. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That was like $1 million to me. So I was like, okay, fine. I quickly went and I learned how to use the software. And I started on that contract. It was an initial 2 weeks, but I was there for 9 months.
Amazing.
You know, and that was how
That's how you started.
I started properly. And, you know, this is what I say to people, because people ask me, oh, you know, how come you've been so lucky? I'm like, one, I've not been lucky. I've been graced. And two, I was blessed to start properly because, you know, it's the accelerator effect, right? If you're starting from a really low place, it takes a while to sort of build that momentum to sort of push through. It would happen eventually if you stay at it enough and do all the right things. But I wasn't starting from a very low place. I was starting from a relatively okay place. So it was easy to then move on to the next thing and to the next thing and to the next thing.
Your current role is now as a managing director in the controls function at Barclays. So you talked about your first role. That's now your current role. Help us bridge the gap between the two.
Okay. So there were many, many roles in between. That first role at SSP Group Limited in Weybridge in 2006 to joining Barclays in 2018, January last year. So that's 12 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, it wasn't 12 years of easy ride.
Yeah.
It was 12 years of grafting, grinding, disappointments, conflicts, tears, but insane victories at the same time. So I was at SSP, which was being carved out of Compass Group PLC at the time, and I was there for 9 months, and I had a great time. It was an easy place to learn. Now, because I was fresh out of university in Nigeria, you know, Outlook, did not use Outlook, so it was great to be in that easy learning, and I had a fantastic boss. But I was newly married. I was living in London. I was traveling to Weybridge every day. It just wasn't working out. And then I wanted a London role, so I moved from SSP at the time to Omnicom Group Limited as a company secretary and tax assistant in London. And while I was there, I then got headhunted to join Deloitte. Okay. So I was only at Omnicom for about 4 months. It was a contract as well. It was an 8 months maternity cover. Right. I was there for 4 months. Then went to join Deloitte. And that was a permanent role. And that was a permanent role. At the time I joined Deloitte, I was about 5 months pregnant with my son. Wow. Yes. Did they hire when you're that pregnant? They didn't know. Oh gosh. They didn't ask. I didn't tell. So okay. Yeah. So it was like hi and bye. I'm off on maternity leave. Yeah. So it was an interesting time. I was there for like a period of 4 months. I went on maternity leave. Now at that point, my husband was a student because he came here as a student. He was still on a student visa, so he couldn't work full time. Now, remember, I'd only joined Deloitte about 4 months before I had my child. So I wasn't going to get like enhanced maternity pay. I was like getting like what the government was paying, which was like £125 a week or something like that. So, you know, I loved my son, but, you know, I had to go back to work after 5 months. So when my son was 5 months old, I went back to work. How did you navigate all that? Childcare, and this is where you know I'm incredibly blessed. So my mom was with me for 6 months, and the day she left to go to Nigeria, 2 days later, my mother-in-law was with us for another 6 months. So we had help from family. So my mother-in-law was looking after me because you know I couldn't afford nursery, and at the time, so I started working. I went back to Deloitte. It was the role wasn't really a company secretarial role. But this was again the backdrop of 2008, right when the financial crisis happened. So there were only 2 industries or 2 sectors really hiring. Yeah. It was liquidations and it was also regulation. Because at the time, the regulators were waking up as to how did this happen? So they were sort of starting to wake up in looking for strong compliance people. But I was, again, as God would have it, I was in the liquidations department at Deloitte. So even then at Deloitte, they were letting people go. Like anybody that was working in M&A deals, advisory, forget it. It's like you're gone. Yeah. But they were hiring people into liquidations. I mean, that's when I started in risk as well. Yeah. In that same 2008, and that was literally the only departments that were hiring. Absolutely. So I was on the other side in liquidations. But because of my law degree, I'd always wanted to do compliance. I had a mentor at the time that said to me, Bukola, you should get into compliance. You have a head for it. You are very practical. You understand the legal. You can understand and interpret legal and regulation and apply to, the day-to-day practicalities of the organization. So I thought, okay, but how will I get there? Because I didn't have the experience. And she said the best thing to do is to move internally within Deloitte. Okay. But at that point, I was sort of having issues with my current team. Personality was just not really working. And again, liquidations had a lot of finance stuff to it. And did I say I was bad at maths?
Yeah.
Okay, I was very, very bad at maths. It took me 4 attempts to pass my GCSE maths.
Oh, wow.
I was really bad at maths. So I thought, okay, I tried to move a few times, but it just wasn't happening. And so I decided to get involved in other things in the organization. This is, again, something I tell people. You're not just at work to do your day job, right? You have to weave yourself into the fabric of the organization. It's not about the organization giving to you. It's also about what can you give back to the organization. So I joined the Working Parents and Carers Network at Deloitte. Okay. I loved it. I was their intranet editor. Do you understand anything about tech? But I'm like, okay, I can help.
And sometimes those things that you take on are what give you purpose and passion. Yes. Especially when the job is not going as planned.
Exactly. Because and I say to people, you are the architects of your own life. Like, we give people or external factors too much power. So yes, I wasn't really happy, at the job or with my, colleagues or the directors, but this other thing gave me a lot of fulfillment, right? I was helping to organize events. Who would know that fast track, so many years down the line, I would actually be doing events on a large scale. Yeah. Well, I was helping to organize events, and at one of the events that I helped organize, they organized like drinks to say thank you. So I went along, and I was talking to this guy, and he was like, "Oh, so how are you? How long have you been at the company?" And I said, "How long I've been?" And he said, "Do you like it here?" I'm like, "Oh no, I hate it. I'm depressed. I'm this, I'm that." So I'm like,
"Whoa, did you know who you were?"
I did not know. But again, that's the thing, right? Like there, I can be blunt to a fault, like really direct. I don't know how to pretend. And he said, "Do you know who I am?" I'm like, "No." He was like, "Okay, I'm blah blah blah, and I'm the lead partner for regulation and compliance." I'm like, "Whoops, okay."
Just so the partner that you hated your job.
Yeah, but he said, "Okay, but you are very smart, right? Yeah. Like, let's bring you over." I'm like, "You don't understand. I've tried to move. They're blocking me." It was like, "Okay, let's try again." And we did all of that, and that's how I got moved over, and I got into compliance and regulation.
And that's the area that you are now.
And that's the area
you're leading. That's amazing.
And it was amazing. It was like I'd found my home. I had went on, really nice clients and, good jobs, winning work. But I then moved on from Deloitte, went into an insurance broker for a while, stayed there. But again, insurance is not as, exciting when it comes to regulation, and especially financial crime, which I was really into then. And I went on my maternity leave for my second child. And while I was on maternity leave, I thought, okay, I want to move back. I want to move into banking. Then every agent I spoke to was like, "Oh, you don't have banking experience." And I thought, okay, I'm just going to apply directly. So I applied directly to JP Morgan, right?
So, but why does that happen actually? Because I want to stop and just talk about that a bit. Because I keep getting these calls of like, "Oh, well, this agent said I don't work here. And this agent said I haven't done this experience." And my thing is, I always say, like, agents, God bless them, but they're a bit lazy. They want to fit a square box into a square peg. They don't care about that you have relevant experience that can move on. So, like, is that like good advice that you think people who want to maybe navigate, move industries, just go directly?
You should go directly. Yeah. Because you just never can tell. Yeah. Because I don't think people will say no. It's a fact of life, right? Just yesterday I was comforting my son. "Oh, I lost that chess." I said, "Sweetheart, it's life. You win some, you lose some." People will say no. You will just have to get ready for that. And no is not actually really a bad thing. And it helps build your resilience. So, an agent said no to me. Okay, good luck. Next. You get what I mean? And so people just need to learn. It depends on how much you want it. There are so many different ways to skin a cat. So many ways to skin a cat. Now LinkedIn is open source, right? Yeah. There are so many. It's changed the game. So there are so many different things that people can do to land the job of their dreams. Yeah. So I just decided, you know what? Not only would I bypass the agents, but I'm going to go for the big daddy of banking. I'm going to go for JP Morgan.
Come on.
So I can remember one day I was feeding my son in the middle of the night, watching most of the sort of like rubbish shows I watch in the middle of the night. And I'm going to apply to JP Morgan. I applied. They rang me. I went through a grueling interview process, like 12 interviews, and then nothing. So I was, breaking it. I was freaking out. Oh my God, I really wanted it. I loved it. I love the organization. And so one day I'll never forget, Friday afternoon, I picked up my son. We're at Tesco, and the phone rang. And it was the recruiter from JP Morgan. Was like, "Oh, Bukola, can you talk?" I'm like, "Of course I can talk. I've not spoken to you in ages." And he said, "It's good news."
Great.
And I said, great. He said, we want to offer you. I'm like, amazing. And then, you know, I was in Tesco, I was screaming. And he said, we're going to offer you X. Now, X is the exact thing I was earning a month.
Yeah.
But because I was so excited, I was at Tesco, all the forces were like against me. I said, yes, of course I would accept it. So I accepted
the offer right on the spot.
Right on the spot, Tesco Friday afternoon. Accepted this offer, I drove home, feeling on top of the world. In fact, I flew home. I got home and, you know, I'm blessed with my husband. He's so sensible. And I said, guess what? JP Morgan called me. I was like, you know, did you get the offer? Like, yeah, I got the offer. I said, how much? I told him. He said, why did you do that? I'm like, what do you mean? I've been waiting. He said, do you realize that now you're in the city? So from our house to the city is not, you know, it's not too far. Now you're going to be going out to Canary Wharf. And it's going to cost you extra in transportation. You know, you're actually not worse off. You're actually not net. You're actually worse off. I was so frustrated. But again, this was Friday evening. This guy had gone home. I don't think I slept that weekend. So Monday morning, first thing I rang him. I said, you know, excuse me, let's call him James.
You turned it down.
I said, James, no, it's not going to work for me. He was like, what do you mean? I had to go to New York. I said, you have to go to New York again. This is not going to work for me. I'm going to be in Canary Wharf. But again, because he knew I'd already accepted it, my bargaining position was strong.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, I'll see what I can do. And he sighed as if he was going to have to trek to New York. I'm like, do your best. And he came back again, was like, Bukola, I've tried. You know, I went all the way to went running up the chain, down the food chain.
As they say.
We're going to give you an extra £1,000.
Wow, that's a really, really important lesson. Never negotiate on an empty stomach.
Yes,
probably a very big lesson for you as well.
I learned the hard way.
So did you eventually accept the job?
I accepted the job because I loved the organization. Yeah. So I accepted the job, but you know, I've had a few roles since then, and you know, I've not made a mistake. Again, I always just, you know, do my market research, find out what I'm worth, and insist on what I'm worth, because people think the organization is always doing you a favor, but it's a two-way relationship. Yeah. You bring value. You're a person of value as well. So insist on being paid what you're worth. Yeah. So, and I've learned that through my subsequent roles. Nice. So it's good. Yeah.
Nice. So tell us a bit about like your current role now, Miss MD. I love it. You know, tell us like tell us. I'm just going to stop. Just tell us what you do.
So what I do is I head up for Barclays, the central controls function, the design and the execution. So essentially what that means is I design the framework to ensure that we can track how effectively our controls are operating to make sure we keep our bank safe. For our employees, for our customers, and for the society at large. Right. And also we design and we execute. I own the program that executes against the assessment of those controls on an annual basis. So essentially that's what we do. What you do, yeah. It's a very demanding role because it is really, really important, not just to senior management, but also to the regulators in terms of what are the outcomes that we're achieving, how are we assessing our controls, how safe is the bank based on those controls, and where there are control failures or gaps or breaks, how are we effectively remediating and fixing those. So it's a huge role. It comes with huge responsibilities, but you know, it's something I totally love. Yeah. I really love what I do.
So what do you enjoy? So thinking about, so I'm a young girl at university, I'm looking for a place to call home. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out like what people enjoy about their jobs. Tell me.
So what I enjoy about my job, I enjoy the varied nature of my job. So I know that people that like to go to work, do the same thing every day and come home, and there's really nothing wrong with that. But my personality is not built that way. Yeah. I cannot do the same thing every single day. I have to have some varied nature. I need to have autonomy as well. So while it's good to have, while it's good to have oversight, and I absolutely think everyone should, you know, have oversight, and shouldn't sort of be a, you know, organic free range person just sort of roaming, you know, through the wilderness of work. I also need some sort of autonomy to be able to put my ideas forward and to design things in the way I think fit. So I love the autonomy. I love the varied nature, and I love the mental rigor and challenge that it poses to me. Yeah. So all of those things make me look forward to going to work every day. And it's a very, it's a job that involves a lot of face-to-face with people. And I'm very big on relationships. Yeah.
The stakeholder interaction.
I love the
and
stakeholder
everything,
interaction. I like the fact that, you know, you get to brainstorm with very smart people. You get to track and tell people what was going on. So I love that sort of face-to-face and the human elements of my role. And I have a fantastic team as well. So I love the fact that we can have a laugh, even though we're one of the teams that's under the most pressure at work. But, you know, you find time to have a laugh and you see the humanness of the humanity behind people. And for me, they're not just an employee that, you know, that just do one thing. But it's the stories, it's the husbands at home, the wives, the children, the parents, the cats, the dogs, you know, whatever it is that is important to them. Is important that I know that as well, so I'm able to lead them effectively.
So now, as a leader, and that's who you are, that's what you do. What does that mean to you? Like, you know, when they say you leader, not just like as a department head or anything like that. What does that real leadership quality mean
that's
to you tangibly?
That's a very brilliant question, because there's a difference between a leader and a manager, right? A manager is someone that can just, you know, manage your resources, you come in, you put things in place, processes in place, you track, you go. Leadership is a lot deeper than that. Leadership comes with utmost responsibility. Leadership for me is about role modeling. It's not about do, you know, what I say. It's also about do what I do. It's leading from the front. It's the ability for me, no matter how stressed I am, I need to be able to absorb that stress and not pass it downwards. I need to be able to protect my employees. I need to be able to protect my team. I need to be able to role model to them what I want to see. I need to lead from the front, and I need to lead from the heart. And for me, it's not about not showing vulnerability. It's for them to know that it's okay to make mistakes, because I'm human as well. I make mistakes. So for me, leadership is about inspiring people, inspirational leadership. Not leading through fear, not like people would do what you... Because if people do what you want them to do because they're afraid of consequences,
that's just dictatorship.
One day they will not be afraid anymore. You know, because it's the elastic band principle. You know, you can only stretch. One day people snap. But if people do what you want them to do because they don't want to let you down and they look up to you, then you're a true leader, right? So for me, it's all of those things. It's being able to bring my true, authentic self to work. So I don't come to work and then put on the Bukola MD garments. The way I am here is the way I am at home, is the way I am at work.
Interesting.
It's very important to me that there's one version of the truth when it comes to me, that when you see me, you know what to expect. Now, that means that we would, you know, sometimes, you know, when you work with people, I spend more time at work than sometimes I spend at home. So you will rub someone the wrong way. There will be conflicts. And as a leader, you have to make tough decisions. You have to be able to look beyond your friendship with that person and say, actually, you know what, you messed up. But also it's about the character and the stake. You give the stake, then you give the character as well. You give praise where it's deserved. You don't hog someone else's work. You are also able to share the limelight, or sometimes you're able to actually step away from the limelight and push the other person forward. So all of those things are important. But for you to be able to operate at that level of leadership, you need to have your self-worth and self-esteem intact. Because if you're insecure, you would have huge bad behaviors will come through. So for me, I'm not validated by my job. My job is important. It's a huge part of me, but it's not all there is to me. My validation comes from, you know, my faith. It comes from my family. It comes from my friends, and it comes from the work I do in the community. So it's very important to me that, you know, I build measures around myself to keep my resilience in place. Because when your resilience starts cracking, then, you know, you start sipping, and then you start, you know, you're not operating at your best. So for me, it's very important that I'm resilient. I keep some practices and some habits going, so that when I turn up at work, I'm the best version of myself, right? And then I can operate at, you know, at a level that I can be proud of. I don't want to do things I'm not proud of. It would happen because I'm human. I'm not like perfect, but it's the ability to sort of rupture and repair. You rupture, but you repair quite quickly.
We can't talk about leadership in this context, of course, without pulling out the fact that, of course, you're female. You are Black. I'm sure you're used to being the only in every room. How do you navigate that? Does that matter? Is that something that people should really think about?
I don't think people should think about it. Now, you can't get away from it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those people that say, don't let's talk about race. You know, that's a huge, big lie. We need to talk about race. We need to be comfortable talking about race or gender or whatever it is.
I agree.
But you need to push beyond those things. So I choose to see those things not as limitations, but strengths. Because there can be 1,000 Johns in the room, but there will always be one Bukola. And you will remember me. But again, with great power comes great responsibility. So that means 1,000 Johns can come into a meeting and say rubbish, and it will be forgotten. I cannot afford
to do that. Yeah.
So that means I work extra hard. I prepare extra hard. But I don't put a burden on myself. I'm human. I'm not going to expect, I'm fallible because I'm human, right? I'm not infallible. Yeah. I'm not, you know, I'm not a superwoman.
But because of the weight of the minority, every time you are in a room, you represent so much more than yourself. Yeah,
I represent a whole community. I represent a whole community that is coming behind me and that should come behind me. Yeah. And for me, I'm not happy I'm the only one. I want there to be so many more people. And that's why I work really, you know, on the things I do outside of work. And also I try and role model behaviors so that when you meet the next Black person, your expectation will be here. You're not starting from a low place. Because people, unfortunately, it's true that you see a Black person and you expect inferiority, you expect low quality, you expect, you know, all sorts, you expect negative things.
Sad.
But my responsibility and my mission is
to demonstrate.
When you come in contact with me and you see the excellence that I carry and I represent, and not just me, I represent a whole community. When you come in contact with the next person, your narrative will change. Yeah. And then that next person will have it a bit easier. So I'm willing to take that hit up front, right? I am. But I do it because I know that the next person would benefit from that. And I have 2 Black boys, right? My sons are Black. They're growing up in the UK. So I do all of that so that when my sons come into the world of work, they're not looked at differently. They are looked at as boys, you know, young boys with talent, hugely, you know, smart boys that have a lot to offer any organization. So when I sit in that room, I sit in that meeting, I sit in that boardroom, I present it to senior people. I'm not just there as Bukola Adisa. Yeah. I'm there as a community and I'm there to represent the brand of Black excellence, which is really true.
And the famous quote of Maya Angelou, I'm here as one, but I represent 1,000.
You represent many, many people.
Awesome. You talked a lot about your work in the community, and I know you do a lot on the career, especially Career Masterclass.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what Career Masterclass is and your vision for it?
Yeah, so Career Masterclass is a social enterprise that we started in 2015, and it was in direct response to a lot of demands that was being placed on my time at that point. To, you know, help with CVs, help with interviews, mentor, lots of questions. And my friend said to me, you know, Bukola, we need to put a structure around this so you can reach more people. And I said, well, what I want is the ability to be able to have people gather and I teach them the things I've learned in my career. Things I've not always, you know, I've learned either by default, or I've learned by watching other people, I've learned by making mistakes. So I can teach those things. And we had the very first one, and it's interesting that I can see the confidence code because the first one was in February 2015 and it was on the confidence code.
Wow.
At that point, we're only for women because I felt, you know, that's a community I know very well. And, you know, the gender, you know, agenda then wasn't, you know, we're not getting anywhere. So let me help the women community. So we started first masterclass, you know, then I, you know, self-funded it. It was on a Saturday hotel and we sold out. And I was like, wow, okay, there's a need for this stuff. And then we just continued. We built. At that point, no corporates weren't interested in us. So I was just self-funding it, you know, my friends, and we're just running it. And it continued to grow organically. I didn't intend for it to be, you know, a big thing. I just thought I wanted to help. I saw a need. I stepped in. I wanted to help. And I took the next step and the next step and the next step. So now we are at a place where we've expanded, we've grown.
We have sponsorship. We have sponsorship
from quite a few good companies. Companies are willing to host us. We now get calls for people from companies to do other stuff for them.
So what did that look like? Like when you have, yes, this is a great idea, but how did you pitch it to companies so that they would care?
We found that companies had started thinking beyond the gender agenda and I started thinking about the BAME agenda, specifically the Black agenda. And what companies have told us sets us apart is the practicality of the things that we teach in Career Masterclass. Because you can go to a seminar, a workshop, and it can be all theory, right? It's theoretical, sort of abstract. You should do this, that, and that. And I've always had a mission and a rule and a principle that I lead by in Career Masterclass. I would never bring somebody that's only talking the talk, but has not walked the walk, walk the walk rather. So everybody that comes to the stage in Career Masterclass or shares a panel or whatever is someone that is doing it. Yeah. Not someone that's done it 15 years ago or 20 years ago. Right.
But does Career Masterclass have a BAME context?
So now we've evolved organically. So we're no longer just for women. We are now a BAME, we're for BAME professionals. Right. So if I was to say, who is our target audience? Is the BAME professionals, mainly people from an Afro-Caribbean Black background, because we know that the outcomes there are not great. And it's someone and most of them are in like early career, middle management. And we've had a huge track record. Again, that's the thing about, you can do the work, but because I'm a person of faith, I believe in the spiritual and the God factor that's helped us, because I can do all this talk, but if nobody's life is changing, then I might as well just sit in my house. Yeah. But, people's lives are being changed. We can see progression. We can see people getting new roles. We can see people getting promoted. And for me, what gives me fulfillment is that aha moments when someone says, oh my God, I get it. Now I've negotiated, or now I have a sponsor, now I have a mentor. I get it. And I believe that is the way you lift a community up. So we've been blessed to have these conversations with organizations around what kind of advice can you give us in an advisory capacity? What kind of courses can you run for us? What kind of things can you target towards helping our population, right? Yeah. And we mainly work around the attract and develop track of diversity. So to attract diverse talents and also to develop them.
Maybe promote them?
And promote them, because when you develop talent and that person is well-rounded and knows what they need to do, then promotion sort of comes organically on the back of that, if the organization puts some other factors and structures in place. So that's the work.
But why is the advice for BAME different than the advice because these organizations run courses anyway in-house?
The advice.
Why is it such a unique? Why do we need special attention?
We need special attention because the statistics surrounding BAME isn't good. It's poor, right? So there's been reports and the research, and McKinsey ran a research recently that shows that I think only 12% of BAME people are in positions of leadership in the UK. That is really, really poor, right? And also what I found being a leader in organizations is the BAME, especially the Black colleagues, seem forgotten. And what organizations need to realize is that people from a Black community come from a different culture. So just to give you a practical example, in a Black community, you don't talk back to your seniors because you are not being respectful. Yes. But in an organization, you're expected to talk back and challenge because it's a show of confidence. So a lot of Black people come into an organization and the culture clashes with everything that they've learned in their lifetime. Yeah. So you need to relearn. And that can only be framed in an understanding, in the context of understanding your culture and your background. Yeah. That's why it has to be different. Yeah. So when we teach things like confidence code at Career Masterclass, I use practical case studies that says, when you go into a meeting, you can't just sit by the wall and think you are respecting people. You have to put your hands up, you have to talk, you have to follow up, you have to sit at the table. So it's things like that, and people can then get it and like, aha, that doesn't mean that I'm disrespecting people. Yeah. That's why you need to frame it differently, because it's different. Experiences are different, the background is different. So because of that, it's not a one size fits all. But the good thing is organizations are starting to realize that now. But they need people that understand the corporate structure and the cultural context to be able to deliver a solution that works.
Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
I love it. Gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
Because you seem to do a lot really well.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I'm not sure.
Does anything scare you?
I'm human, right? Things scare me, right? There are lots of things that scare me. There are so many projects I have on the go, and specifically around Career Masterclass that scare me. Now, I'm not scared of failure per se, because I think, I've come through, I've had so many experiences of no, not yet, that, I'm sort of not immune, but I take it as part of the course. I think sometimes I'm scared of what it can be, what it can turn out to be, you know, can be sort of, you know, resounding success. I've experienced huge success in running Career Masterclass. Apart from my career, I've experienced, you know, you call a conference, it sells out. Then you have it another year and you say you want to go bigger and it sells out. And so that scares me, but and again, that's why I come back to my faith, because I know that God is leading me to it. And if He brings me to it, He will lead me through it, right? So there are things that do scare me. And, but again, that's why it's good to have a good support structure around you. I've got fabulous friends, and my friends are like, you know, almost like they believe in a vision more than me. They're like, Bukola, you know, keep going. And earlier this year, I had a rough time at work. So I wasn't doing a lot on Career Masterclass, and I can't tell you the number of people that reached out to me and called me and said, what's going on? You've been quiet. What can we do to help? And that's, you know, blesses me. I have my husband that keeps telling me, you cannot give up on Career Masterclass. So many times I say to him, my life is complicated enough. Can I drop this? And it's like, no, it's
that's
not.
Actually
that is why that's why God has put you on this earth to do. So you have to do that. So I have those structures in place. And even my son said to me, you know, Mommy, we're so proud of you. Recently, my son was asked to write about somebody he admires a lot, and he wrote about me. Right? So I am so, you know, that blesses me, right? So that gives me the courage and the confidence to keep going and to keep pressing on. Yeah. So and again, I don't try. I've worked with God enough to know that I don't try and second guess what's in my future. I follow. And like I say to people, just do the last thing He told you to do. You do that, then you move on. It's like a class. You finish this class, you get promoted, you go on to the next thing. And so my prayer is that God keeps giving me, you know, the capacity and the resilience, because I need a lot of resilience in the things I do. When you operate at the level I operate on in the organization, it comes with a lot of benefits for which I'm thankful, but it comes with a lot of challenges as well. Gosh. So you need resilience to keep going.
Bukola, we could be here forever.
Yeah, and I would happily be here forever.
It's been amazing chatting with you, talking with you. How can our audience, you know, get in touch with you, or at least plug into some of the work that you're doing? So does Career Masterclass have a website?
Yeah, we do have a website. So it's careermasterclass.org. And we are on social media. We're like LinkedIn, Career Masterclass. We're on Instagram, Career Masterclass, Facebook, Career Masterclass, Twitter, Career Masterclass. So, you know, it's quite on all the platforms. We're on all the platforms. And again, like I said, I have nobody that works on this full time. All volunteers that believe in the cause. So you're
happy to have people come on board.
If people want to get involved, I'm so happy to have anybody, because this work is bigger than me, right? So the more the merrier. Yes,
I'm plugged in, and you should be too. It's been amazing. To hear more about all of the work, just go to one of the courses, the seminars, the Stretch Conference, which is annual. There's so much. I was there last year, learned a lot. Going again this year is going to be absolutely, absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see all of your future success where Career Masterclass grows and just glows too.
Thank you.
You are a mentor to me. You're an inspiration to me, and I'm really, really proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm proud of you too. Thank you.